Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this morning's Chris 6 Sunrise.
Here's a look at what stories we're covering in your neighborhood.
He led with humility and shook tradition. Now the world mourns. I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens. What's next for the Catholic Church after the death of Pope Francis? South Texans weigh in.
Cinco de Mayo might not be just a celebration this year. I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter in the Bay Area. Student loan payments will start back up on the same day. I'll tell you what this means if you haven't made a payment in the past year.
Thinking about continuing your education? I'm Stephanie Molina, your neighborhood news reporter at Del Mar College, telling you what you should know if you're considering this option.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chris 6 Sunrise. Thank you so much for waking up with the Hoffmans. I'm Michelle Hoffman.
And I'm Brian Hoffman. Yeah, we had a little bit of rain earlier on in the week, a little over the weekend. But, you know, big question, Buck Days is coming up. Ooh. Steph, how's it looking so far?
Oh, we are looking much better for Buck Days. In fact, I have some positive improvements to Saturday's forecast, but today's Wednesday. We're getting over the hump. Before we get to the drier back half of the week, we've got to talk about storms moving through the northern extent of the coastal bend this morning. And if you're wondering what it's like to head up and out the door, let's focus on our northern commutes. Highway 59 is pretty much where we're tracking some of these storms, and it's not just this corridor that's going to have to watch out for some of the tough conditions with heavy rainfall, frequent lightning. George West definitely getting the brunt of this right now, but if you're planning to travel along 37 or 281 through Live Oak County, or maybe 181 in B County, this is where you're going to encounter some of the storms here within the next half hour. So, in fact, we can show you that timing right now. Commutes across parts of B County, even parts of San Patricio County, if this line of storms holds on, could be impacted by the rain. Otherwise, this morning, we're just tracking some slowdowns on the Crosstown Expressway, where folks, you're going to want to exit at Baldwin, take Staples to go through downtown to catch 37 or 181. Everything else is looking good, though, this morning. So as you head out, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. Do you need the raincoat for the rest of today? Find out in your weather on the 6s ahead.
Thank you so much, Steph. So the Mathis softball coach involved in last week's fight that happened over at a game between Mathis and Taft. Well, she's out on bond after turning herself in to authorities. Mathis softball coach Brianna Cruz turned herself in after Taft filed a warrant for her arrest. That's according to San Patricio County Sheriff Oscar Rivera. Cruz posted bond afterwards. In this video, you see her run in, grab a Taft player as they both fell to the ground. Her mother, Beverly De Leon, was also arrested for fighting a fan outside of the field. Both school districts are investigating the incident.
Here in our neighborhood as well, a memorial mass for Pope Francis will be held today to honor the People's Pope. It will take place at the Corpus Christi Cathedral, starting with a novena at 6:30 p.m. with a mass to follow. The cathedral is at 505 North Upper Broadway. If you miss the mass, it will be posted on the diocese website. Pope Francis' funeral will be held Saturday morning at the Vatican.
From climate to compassion, he opened doors, but not without controversy. I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens. South Texans are remembering Pope Francis and sharing what they hope comes next. The world is mourning the death of Pope Francis and turning its eyes to Rome. As the church prepares to choose a new leader, Catholics in the Coastal Bend are reflecting on what direction the church should take.
I didn't really care, much for the Pope, because I'm a very progressive Catholic, because I was Lutheran and then I just recently became Catholic.
I don't agree with men and men marrying by the church. It's wrong. It's wrong.
Now the decision falls to 135 cardinals, men who will enter the Sistine Chapel and won't leave until they agree on a new pope. No outside contact, no campaigns, just ballots and smoke.
And they vote, they count votes. If there is no clear winner, they vote again, and then they vote again, and eventually they have a winner. So that's a process.
Black smoke from the Vatican chimneys means no decision. White smoke means a new pope has been chosen. Nearly 80% of the cardinals were appointed by Pope Francis, but that doesn't guarantee continuity.
You would expect that they would continue with the policies of or attitudes of the Pope, right? But that does not always happen.
Some are hoping for a pope who builds on Francis's legacy of mercy and modernization. Others want to return to stricter tradition. Whichever direction the church takes, one thing is certain: the world is watching and waiting for the white smoke. The College of Cardinals is expected to meet in early May to elect the new pope. In Corpus Christi, I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens, Chris 6.
Hey there, an active morning, not here in downtown Corpus Christi, but in northern neighborhoods of the coastal bend. I'm tracking a line of storms moving through Live Oak and B counties this morning. Just on Facebook, one of our coastal bend weather watchers was mentioning that it hasn't stopped raining in Three Rivers for an hour. It's been coming down in buckets there. So I'm going to show you that line of storms in just a moment. We don't have any watches or warnings out right now, but it is a bit of a rude awakening on this hump day for some neighbors. So while the view is a bit gloomy but tranquil over downtown Corpus Christi, here's a view of what's going on in your neighborhood. Temperatures pretty warm. We're in those middle to upper 70s across the coastal bend with breezy conditions from that humid and warm southeast wind direction. Winds are about 10 to 15 miles per hour for most neighbors. And as we look at visibility, we're getting down to as bad as 5 miles of visibility in Rockport. And really the wind is what's keeping us from seeing worse visibility. So we'll take it. Here's that line of storms moving through Live Oak and B counties. This is a 3-hour loop. So this has moved from the I-35 corridor into the northern part of the coastal bend. It's all in the mail here. It's moving pretty quickly. And with these bright colors on the radar, that's what tells us that we have intense rainfall and a pretty stormy start to the morning here. So this is moving so quickly, I have to keep adjusting my scale, but you can see the line is breaking down, but it's not doing so quickly. So I might hold on for even the next 45 minutes. So if that is the case, within less than an hour, this will be in Papalote, but within the next 44 minutes, this will move into the Mathis area. The tail end of this line will move into Mathis. That would bring beneficial rainfall to Lake Corpus Christi within about 26 minutes. So the rain, beneficial for us. The storms we could do without, but if your commute takes you along 181 in B County, 281 or 37 in Live Oak County, you might want to go late today or take it slow. Leave earlier so you could take it slow if you're planning to head through that line of storms. Right now, crossing the Highway 59 corridor, and the rest of us dry this morning, but that may not be the case as we head through the rest of today. I'll explain in a moment, but this is the view we've had earlier this week. So this is now multiple times that showers and storms have moved through different neighborhoods of the coastal bend. This came from just west of Alice from our weather watcher, Robert, a couple days ago. And if we look at the past 48 hours, we've had lots of color on our rainfall accumulations map in the watershed. Fantastic. Along the coast here earlier in the week, fantastic. But we seem to have a big gap. And I think this line of showers and storms will help to fill that in cruising through this morning. Plus, more opportunities for rain later today. Let's time that out for you because it's not a huge opportunity. Again, we're on a downward trend for our rainfall chances, but because the rest of the coastal bend is not seeing the storms right now, we're not tapping into our potential, right? So as we warm up during the lunch hour and early afternoon, that could be our next best chance for a stray shower or thunderstorm to move into your neighborhood. That's a pretty even chance because we'll wait on the sea breeze to really turn on the faucet for us. So stay tuned to the forecast today. You might want to take that raincoat just in case. And even during the overnight, stray chances for showers moving into your neighborhood. I'll continue to track these showers and storms with your weather on the 6s throughout this newscast.
A broken fire hydrant has stirred up a fire in Falfurrias. I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Falfurrias. I'll tell you about the inferno the fire chief says came after firefighters reported a broken fire hydrant.
Buck Days continues the tradition of changing lives through education with the Port of Corpus Christi Leadership Program, sponsored on Chris 6 by Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi.
I'm Melissa Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Falfurrias. While working on this hydrant, firefighters learned it was not functioning properly. Falfurrias Fire Chief says now firefighters have been told they aren't allowed to open any fire hydrant without a city employee present.
I honestly thought it was a joke. I mean, I didn't think, and then, you know, all type of thoughts keep going through my head. You know, is it political? Is it a vendetta? Is it personal?
Arnold Mireles heard about a broken fire hydrant in Falfurrias after scrolling social media. He told me he and some of his neighbors talked about it.
It's a sad thing for the citizens. I mean, at the end of the day, city, fire department, the ones that suffer is the public.
Chris 6 News did some digging and confirmed on April 15th, firefighters were doing routine check on fire hydrants in the community. During one of the checks, a hydrant on South St. Mary's and Flack Street malfunctioned. One of the firefighters heard in this audio Chris 6 News got from the city's fire chief reported the problem.
Hey, it's Vince Joaquin here with the fire department. Hey, so we're doing fire hydrant testing out here, and one of the hydrants doesn't want to close.
The next day, according to Fire Chief Ruben Ramirez, the city's utility director filed a report claiming tampering of a fire hydrant.
I went to the police department and collected this police report from the Falfurrias Police Department.
What would you say is the difference between tampering and maintenance?
I think there's a big difference, right? We're not tampering. We don't have no malicious intent to break a hydrant.
The chief tells me more than half of the 300 fire hydrants in the city aren't working, and waiting for a city employee to open one during an emergency is unrealistic. As for the firefighter who reported the broken hydrant,
yeah, at that point I was honestly like, you know what, I'm scared because you know what if it comes back to the point where it's like, hey, you know what, yeah, this guy, we're gonna get it for criminal mischief.
I went to the city hall to speak to the city's utilities director.
There was an internal communication breakdown here at the city, and we were not notified that it was the fire department.
Firefighters here say they'll do their job no matter what it takes because their first priority is the safety of their neighbors. I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Falfurrias, Chris 6 News.
Hey, good Wednesday morning to you. I'm tracking a line of showers and storms that is starting to be a very rude awakening for some neighbors here in the coastal bend. Good news, this line has been breaking down for several hours. Bad news? Maybe? It's still holding on, but while it holds on, yes, it's a disruptive morning, but we don't have any watchers or warnings out for this, and it's bringing us rainfall. So, you know what? Maybe that's not so bad. Maybe it's a win-win, right? Let's show you what's going on with the radar up close. Here's what's going on. This line of showers and storms has raced to the coastal bend from the I-35 corridor, and before that, last night, this started off in Webb County and erupted out in the brush country, or I should say the hill country, and has made its way down here. So this is what's going on this morning. Neighbors and Bee and Live Oak counties definitely getting quite the start. George West, you are going to see that rain tapering down. Now the heaviest rainfall shown here in this red has moved past you. It moved past Choke Canyon, and look where it's headed next, right to Lake Corpus Christi. So our neighbors along Lake Corpus Christi, you're about to get a very welcome sight. And if this tail end of the line holds on, this will cruise right into the Mathis area, but that's really about as south as that line goes. Now, for the northern extent of it, moving through Beeville right now, again, this is a thick line of storms right up front, heavy hitting that is moving into the Bee County area. It's not strong enough to warrant a severe thunderstorm warning or anything like that, but you can expect some gusty winds, some definitely heavy downpours with this. And I do think that this section of the storms will hold on down the 181 corridor into Skidmore. So something to be aware of this morning. A lot of folks on Facebook, I've been posting about this, are wondering if this is going to hold on all the way to Corpus Christi. But I want to show you this line. It's really not extending far enough south, and it's already kind of cruising out in this direction. If it were to be super ambitious and hold together, I think this could make it to Sinton. I'm not confident it would make it to Portland Gregory. I think it would fall apart. It would see the southern tail of that drying up. But the Victoria Crossroads, our neighbors in Refugio County, northern Aransas County, perhaps even Rockport, could see these showers in a much less intense form as we go through the next 2 hours. So something to keep in mind for that morning commute. If you're not ready to head up and out the door just yet, Something to keep in mind, especially for the neighbors in Rockport and Fulton if that line holds on. But across the rest of the coastal bend, don't put your raincoats away just yet. We do have just one last opportunity for rain later today. And we're setting up for that with these warm, humid temperatures in the middle 70s, upper 70s. Strong winds will pick up this afternoon, gusting around 30, 35 miles per hour. But it's that warm and humid direction we're already seeing this morning with winds 10 to 15 miles per hour that are going to set us up for the breezy, humid afternoon. So we just need something to tap into this, something to turn the faucet on. And I think, simply enough, that could be heating up during the lunch hour and early afternoon, which tends to be our hottest part of the day during the springtime hours. So it's a very small opportunity for a stray shower or thunderstorm, maybe some sprinklies into tomorrow morning, but I think the bulk of the action is happening right now. We'll be wrapping up. I'm continuing to track this on air and online, and your weather on the 6 is ahead.
Thanks, Steph. The Secretary of Health and Human Services wants to phase out the use of certain food dyes in food. Coming up on Sunrise, Scripps News Group Joe St. George joins us and tells us when the change is expected to happen, as well as how it can affect you. Welcome back, everyone. On Tuesday, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said that the government will phase out a number of dyes currently used in the food industry.
Yeah, that's right. Scripps News Group Deputy Political Director Joe St. George joins us live now this morning. Good morning, Joe. So when is the deadline for food companies to stop using food dyes, and could this impact our grocery bills in the coming months?
Well, we could get some dyes eliminated within the coming months, according to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Other dyes will be phased out, perhaps by the end of 2026. But this is going to happen at a bit rapid of a clip here, and I'm just sharing a quote from the Secretary here now. We are going to get rid of the dyes, and then one by one, we're going to get rid of every ingredient and additive in food that we can legally address. That's according to the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Secretary Kennedy leading really the effort by the Trump administration, this Make America Healthy Again campaign. Secretary Kennedy believes that these things put in our foods have been contributing to the rise in diseases in our country. The food industry and their reaction here, I think, is going to be noteworthy. The Secretary said that there is an understanding with the food industry, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a lawsuit here. There may not be some pushback here. It's obviously going to change things a bit. What's the impact on you? Well, for one, things could just look different at the grocery store, right? I mean, these dyes we're talking about, red dyes and orange dyes, number this, number that, they're in a number of cereals and sports drinks, thousands of items. If you go to a big box store, you'd see some of these dyes, and in theory, things will look different. So maybe that cereal that you're used to seeing with a certain color, well, they're either going to be colorless or a different shade would have to pop up. Same goes with many drinks going forward. Again, this is really just step one of the Make America Healthy Again effort. The Secretary teasing that the next target may be nutrition labels as he is committed. It's clear that he's very passionate about this subject, and he has the trust of the president to announce significant changes. For many health experts, a lot of this is being praised because there are some who have said that they've wanted the Department of Health and Human Services, the FDA, to take a more proactive role here. We'll wait and see when all of this actually hits the shelves, and then the question will be, does this mean things are more expensive or cheaper, right? We'll have to wait and see. We'll follow this closely in the coming months, guys.
Yeah, some interesting stuff. Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, great insight as always. Look forward to talking again soon, sir.
Yeah.
Hey there, good morning. It is good morning because I'm tracking something on the radar. Yes, it's been a bit of a rude awakening for a lot of our northern neighbors, but you know what? We don't have any active severe warnings, watches. We are getting some very heavy rainfall. It's coming with gusty winds, but even when we're not seeing rain, we're seeing gusty winds. So really, what's the drawback other than the fact that it's interrupting the morning commute? Well, we are going to be looking at some beneficial rainfall. It's already moved over Choke Canyon. Lake Corpus Christi is on deck. Let me show you the latest with this line of storms. Have the wide view for yourself. We've been watching this line since it erupted last night. It started with a small but very beefy severe thunderstorm in Webb County around 10, 11 o'clock last night. That led to a line of storms erupting out way west, and it's carried all the way across the I-35 corridor, which over the past 3 hours has brought us to now. This line of storms moving into Live Oak and Bee counties. It's pretty much moving out of Live Oak County and into northern San Patricio County. So yes, Lake Corpus Christi is going to get some of this rain. Now, this is a very thin tail end of this line, but hold out hope. These bright colors right here tell us that this is very heavy rainfall, intense rainfall moving into the area of Lake Corpus Christi right now. As I mentioned earlier, Choke Canyon already got its dose. We are going to bring some beneficial rainfall to the lake right now, but it is coming along this defined line of storms where we see the pink here in near the downtown area of Beeville. That's very intense rainfall. So it is coming down in buckets. We're seeing gusty winds with this because it's such a defined line that is continuing to move toward the southeast. So yeah, Skidmore, I think that you're going to get in on this. I think this line is going to hold on for probably the next half hour as it moves into town. That also means the same for Tynan and Mathis. You're probably not going to see as much of the heavy rainfall. It may not last as long, but yes, you look to catch the tail end of this shower activity as well. Now for the rest of us across the coastal bend, I just don't really think we're going to see this tail catch northern parts of Jim Wells County or Nueces County. I don't think that's necessarily in the cards for us. I think it's going to kind of sweep to the north of this I-37 corridor and hang out in San Patricio County. But for our neighbors in Bee County, you are seeing rain trailing behind this, not quite the defined tail behind that initial line of storms. You're going to be in it for probably an hour or so. And as this continues to trek, the more north you are in the coastal bend, the more likely you are to see this rain moving through. So Refugio, Woodsboro, you guys will be up next probably in about another hour and a half as that line moves your way. And if it holds on long enough, Rockport Fulton, your turn will come later this morning. So keep that in mind as you plan the morning commute and any activities that you have for this Wednesday. And for everybody else, don't put those raincoats away just yet. As we head into the hottest part of the afternoon, we are already warm and humid. The breeze continues to very generously bring in humidity from the Gulf. We are going to see gusty conditions setting up for the afternoon. I think if we get warm enough, we could tap into how juicy the atmosphere is during the lunchtime and early afternoon time frame. That's a pretty even chance for a stray shower thunderstorm for most folks, and then maybe a quick shower during the overnight. But I think our rain chances in general, downward trend here. For Corpus Christi, we'll hold on for maybe a shower around lunchtime, winds up around 20 miles per hour by then. Either way, I still think we warm up to those middle 80s as the rest of the afternoon will be breezy as those clouds begin to clear. What about the next 7 days? I've got you covered in your next check of your weather on the 6s.
Buck Days continues the tradition of changing lives through education with the Port of Corpus Christi Leadership Program, sponsored on Chris 6 by Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. Now, say hello to your neighbors. This is your Chris 6 News Sunrise Shoutouts.
Have a great day from West Oso Junior High South.
Hey, good morning, ladies. We love the energy. They were from West Oso. We hope they have a great day, too. And of course, folks, if you want to send us your shout out video, you can head on over to our website, christv.com.
All right, drivers, especially those of you in Bee County, we have a busy morning for you. Very different from what we're seeing over Corpus Christi right now. The Harbor Bridge is busy, but moving smoothly. The shaky camera is about as active as it gets from this view. But let's take you to those traffic maps now and show you that if you are commuting along 181 in Bee County between Beeville and Pettis, Romano, we have some big slowdowns here because of very heavy rainfall that is not ending anytime soon. If you can, wait out the rain. If not, please give yourself some extra time. Expect delays and drive carefully on the roadways. Highway 59 between George West and Beeville also going to be slow because, yes, you guessed it, we still have rain in the area. And while things are quieting down along 37 in Live Oak County, we are still going to see those wet roadways, so give yourself some extra time. The commute farther south where it's dry, no problems to report on 77 or this stretch of 281. So coming in closer to town, 181 over the Harbor Bridge looks good. We were tracking some slowdowns on the Crosstown Expressway earlier this morning. Those have cleared, so we're looking easy on that ride, and it's just a little bit slow as you pass that part of 37. Again, the construction folks trying to figure out which lane to take. Otherwise, we're looking good across town, and the commute to NAS Corpus Christi is a smooth one this morning. So as you head out, make sure you stay safe and drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. I'm continuing to track the storms and your weather on the 6s ahead.
It's a day to remember the importance of taking care of our planet. I'm Erin Holly, your Port Aransas Neighborhood News reporter, showing you how neighbors celebrated Earth Day with an annual tradition. Peace on Earth for Earth Day. That's what neighbors demonstrated on the beach on Tuesday. I'm Erin Holly, your Port Aransas Neighborhood News reporter, giving you a bird's eye view of an annual Earth Day tradition. Keep Her Wild, a Port Aransas-based environmental group, has been leading this Earth Day tradition for years.
All of our people get in line in the form of a peace sign and sing and dance and celebrate the Earth and this beautiful island that we call home.
This event is not about fame or fortune. It's simply to promote peace on their little sliver of paradise on Earth right here in Port Aransas. In Port Aransas, I'm your Neighborhood News reporter, Erin Holly, Chris 6 News.
All right, good morning, y'all. It has been a pretty busy ride along SPID this morning, but not as busy as the commute along Highway 59, along 181 in Beat County. We are talking about some storms moving through the northern counties of the Coastal Bend. Here's a look at what's going on with the radar and our timing going forward. So this line of storms, not severe, no watches or warnings with this, but it is dumping very heavy rainfall. That's what we're seeing with the bright colors on the radar. While the tail end is kind of fizzling out as it approaches Mathis right now, I do think this will hold on to reach the Rockport-Fulton area. That'll probably happen within another hour and a half. Could graze by Portland if that tail holds together within the next hour and 20 minutes. Sinton, you'll see this in about 45, and Mathis, it's coming to you now. So if you're getting ready to head up and out the door, keep this in mind as you plan the morning hours ahead. Again, Rockport about another hour and a half for you. I'll continue to track this line of storms on Iron Online. Your weather on the 6s continues when we come back.
From Chris 6, this is 20 minutes of non-stop news.
Welcome back, everyone. You're taking in a gorgeous live view from our station's camera looking at downtown Corpus Christi. Looks pretty good right now, but hey, we do have some rain in some areas. We're going to be checking in with Master Meteorologist Stephanie Lauber in just a little bit. 6:40 is your time, and we're going to start out with some neighborhood news.
Yeah, Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens finds out what neighbors' hopes comes next following the death of Pope Francis.
From climate to compassion, he opened doors, but not without controversy. I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens. South Texans are remembering Pope Francis and sharing what they hope comes next. Some are hoping for a pope who builds on Francis's legacy of mercy and modernization. Others want to return to stricter tradition. Whichever direction the church takes, one thing is certain: the world is watching and waiting for the white smoke. The College of Cardinals is expected to meet in early May to elect the new pope. In Corpus Christi, I'm Senior Neighborhood News reporter Suzanne Stevens, Chris 6 News.
If you've defaulted your student loan payments because of the pandemic, then your grace period is almost up. I'm Michaela Chavez, your Neighborhood News reporter in the Bay Area. This will be the first time in 5 years that the repayments have begun. Almost 43 million Americans have student loans. Robert Wilson and his wife Mary were part of that number.
We both had about $8,000 each.
That is, until they paid it off.
We were really young at the time, so we knew we still had a lot of things in front of us. Saving up for a house, didn't have children yet. So it was just basically a beginning step, but a necessary step.
But not everyone has been able to pay off their student loans just yet, like Johnny Suarez.
I got an email the other day, actually. They're like, hey, you owe us money.
Others even had to put their payments on pause for a while.
My wife has student loans, and she didn't have to pay hers for a long time. And then she kind of actually got the email, and she was telling me, like, hey, we got to start paying all my stuff.
If you defaulted on your student loan payments, your debt will be collected starting next month. A defaulted student loan is a loan that a borrower hasn't made a payment on for 270 days. When it enters default, it becomes eligible for mandatory collections, and that could be collected through wage garnishing. That means what you make in a paycheck could be held back by your employer and paid to the government instead.
people being over indebted to any kind of bank debt end up paying, just get to a point where they just end up paying interest. So they end up being serfs for the bank or have to take low quality jobs that they can't afford to make anything but minimum payments. That's not a good system.
The pause on collecting defaulted loans started in 2020 because of the economic hardships faced during the pandemic. But Wilson says garnishing people's wages might cause an economic problem.
It's one of the issues that's happened recently that has affected the economy. People who were spending money more freely now have to pay their student debt. That's money that was circulating in the economy that's now going back to the banks.
And Suarez says the mandatory repayments will take a bit of financial adjusting as well.
We are just one income. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. That's kind of what we wanted. Stuff like this, I can't pick up an extra shift and stuff like that. It's a flat, I get paid a salary. It's not too much of a, hassle of, how we have to figure it out. But, we do have to, keep that in mind now.
The 5 million or more Americans with defaulted student loan payments will have their loans sent for collections on May 5th. With your neighborhood news in the Bay Area, I'm Michaela Chavez, Chris 6 Sunrise.
I'm Tony Jaramillo, your neighborhood news reporter in Calallen. A partnership between Nueces County and Texas A&M Corpus Christi could bring wells to some of our county parks. The reason? To better track our water quality and levels. If the agreement is approved, the university would install shallow monitoring walls in 3 parks: Labonte Park, Hazel Baysmore, and Bishop Park. Each will be about 2 inches wide and up to 45 feet deep. Researchers believe the biggest benefit is for people who live in rural areas without access to city utilities, like those who rely on septic tanks or private wells. County commissioners are expected to vote on the agreement on April 24th. In Calallen, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Jaramillo, Chris 6 News.
Hey there, good morning. An active one for our neighbors in our northern counties. So, Live Oak County, you're just about done. Literally watching this tail end cross on over into San Patricio County near Lake Corpus Christi. Yes, that's where we want the rain. But B County still holding on to some very heavy showers. I'm going to dance around the radar here a little bit so we can show you across our neighborhoods where we are seeing the bulk of the rain. I can get closer here and show you neighborhood by neighborhood where we are seeing the heavy downpours. Let's start even more north in B County. So along the Highway 181 corridor, the heaviest rainfall has now moved off to the east. We're still seeing heavy showers on Highway 59 up into Goliad County, but for the most part, things are quieting down in the bulk of B County. You head south of Beeville, though, 181 between Skidmore and Beeville is going to be a bit of a rough ride on the highway. In our earlier traffic update, we did see some major slowdowns along 181 throughout B County. So this is intense rainfall. It's still dark out, y'all. So if you don't have to be out this early, take your time. Stay home for a little bit, let this pass. But if you do have to be up and at 'em, give yourself extra time, take it very slowly and drive carefully because, yes, this is a repeat opportunity for rainfall here in the Coastal Bend, but it's been a long time since we've seen this much rain. So from Skidmore down Highway 359 into Tynan, we're just starting to see the showers move on in. We're expecting some very heavy rainfall near Lake Corpus Christi from Lake City up toward even Mathis, where the rain is now approaching. Not as intense with that rainfall. On 37, sure thing. It's a quick pocket of heavy downpours, but this tail is not as strong as, say, the bulk of this over in this part of southern B County, now moving into San Patricio County. So your next question might be, where is this going? Who is going to see the rain next? Well, we just got that update on the radar. The wide view shows that this is just for our northern neighbors. This is something you may have to deal with if you are north of Highway 37. I don't think this is going to grace by Corpus Christi unless it's maybe just a few sprinkles here in downtown as we wrap up this newscast. Probably even a little bit later than that. And the view over downtown Corpus Christi has been pretty quiet aside from the flags. Loving the breeze out there this morning. Things generally not very active. As we go through the next hour and a half, that line of showers and storms is going to cross through Refugio County, northern San Patricio County. So yes, our friends from Sinton up through Woodsboro and Refugio into the Victoria Crossroads. I do think the line will hold on By the time it gets to Rockport Fulton, I don't think it's going to be as intense. So either way, no watches or warnings, just beneficial rainfall. It is reducing visibility in places like Rockport right now. 5 miles visibility with all the soupiness out there. Where we have the rain, looks like 10 statute miles in Beeville, but when that rain's coming down in buckets, it does make it difficult to see, right? So give yourself some extra time. One word of note, it's very warm out there this morning. We're in the middle to upper 70s to start the day. So we have a very juicy atmosphere. Where it is not raining, there is opportunity that as we go through the morning hours toward lunchtime and we heat up, we could tap into the atmosphere and see a stray shower, a thunderstorm. I don't think that's out of the question. Here in Corpus Christi, the likely timing for any kind of stray showers would be right around lunch, 12, 1 o'clock. I'm going to keep an eye on this as we head throughout the rest of this morning. And the afternoon is going to be a warm one. I think we hit the middle 80s before it's all said and done. So here's a look at that 7-day forecast. Rainfall on a downward trend. At this point, we're just looking at maybe a stray shower. Not a lot of confidence we'll actually get anything. And as we go into the weekend, Buck Days on Saturdays looking great for the parade. Disrespectful winds join us Sunday into next week.
Now, 6 things to know before you go.
All right, to start off the 6 things you need to know before heading out the door, the Food and Drug Administration plans to phase out the use of petroleum-based synthetic dyes in the U.S. food supply. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made that announcement on Tuesday, along with FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCarty. The dyes, are found in many different candies, cereals, drinks, and even some medicine. The impact of food dyes on people is unclear.
The Mathis softball coach involved in last week's fight at a game between Mathis and Taft is out on bond after turning herself into authorities. Mathis softball coach Brianna Cruz turned herself in after Taft ISD filed a warrant for her arrest. That's according to San Patricio County Sheriff Oscar Rivera. Cruz posted bond afterwards, and in this video you see her run in and grab a Taft player as they both fell to the ground. Her mother, Beverly DeLeon, was also arrested for fighting a fan outside the field. Both school districts are investigating the incident.
A memorial mass for Pope Francis will be held today to honor the People's Pope. It will take place over at the Corpus Christi Cathedral, starting with a novena at 6:30 with a mass to follow. The cathedral is located at 505 North Upper Broadway. If you happen to miss the mass, it will be posted on the diocese website. Pope Francis's funeral will be held Saturday morning over at the Vatican.
CCISD is hosting a teacher job fair this weekend. It will take place Saturday, April 26 from 9 a.m. to noon at Mary Carroll High School. CCISD is looking for teachers and coaches for all subjects and grade levels. Make sure to bring multiple copies of your resume. Mary Carroll High School is at 3202 Saratoga Boulevard.
Well, the USS Lexington is getting ready to host their Blue Ghost Paranormal Overnight Investigation. The overnight experience takes place Friday, May 16th to Saturday, May 17th. Neighbors will receive hands-on experience from paranormal investigators, too. And Saturday morning, guests will get a chance to tour the Lex. Tickets are $100 for museum members, $125 for non-members. For more information, head on over to our website, thischristv.com.
There's more fun this weekend, though. The Buck Days Parade is just a few days away, and if you want to watch the Buck Days Night Parade from the comfort of your home, we have you covered. Brian and I will host the Stadium Show and Night Parade on Saturday. Meteorologist Stephanie Lauber will also be there. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on Chris 6. We'll also be streaming on ChrisTV.com.
All right, good morning. If you are planning to head out for that morning commute, it is looking just fine on SPID. No major problems. But if you're heading into our northern neighborhoods, that is not exactly the case. Let me go ahead and show you what those roadways are looking like so far this morning, because it has been a busy ride in B County. Live Oak County's back to business, but Highway 59 through B County between Beeville and Goliad, not looking the greatest right now. Heavy downpours right now are really slowing things down. That's also the case along 181 there in B County. We're starting to see that rain move into San Patricio County, but no slowdowns. Lots of green here on the map. Highway 77 from Odom up to Woodsboro is looking good. Around town here in Corpus Christi, not seeing any major delays. Even for this morning, we typically see slowdowns along the crosstown interchange to 37. That is not the case so far. This morning, we're looking A-OK. So as you head out this morning, make sure you you stay safe and you drive safe. That's a look at your traffic report. Do you need the raincoat before you leave? I'll tell you coming up on your weather on the 6s.
Sometimes taking the first step is the hardest part. I'm Stephanie Molina, your neighborhood news reporter at Del Mar College, talking to a student who made the choice to go back to school and earn their GED. The students share their experience with the program here at Del Mar.
No one else can take it away from you. No one can take your GED away from you, ever.
19-year-old Emma Grace Barrientos is GED graduate. She first stopped going to school back in 2022 when she was 16 years old.
I was a pretty insecure, shy girl, and I always kept to my own, and I was always scared of being bullied.
Barrientos tells me she didn't plan one day to drop out of high school, but over time, the absences started piling up, which forced her to stop going. Fast forward a few years, and Barrientos tells me she realized she couldn't continue living like that forever.
I don't want to depend on other people. I want to be independent and have a job, and the only way to really get that is to have a GED or a diploma.
Barrientos' dad brought up the idea of her taking the GED.
I think a lot of times students are afraid that they're either going to have to pay for the services that they're receiving, or they believe that they're not going to be able to get into a class.
Jennifer Howard is the assistant director of the ESL program at Del Mar College. The school has a new grant-funded program to help students interested in going back to school. Since October 2024, 260 students have enrolled the program and 8 have earned their GED.
We also have scholarships to help you pay for your GED test. And then, of course, all of our classes are free.
Each Tuesday, she says students interested in going back to school can stop by the Ventures Business Building.
Sometimes people are worried about time. Do I have time to study? Do I have time to do this? And even incorporating just maybe set a timer for 30 minutes. And read a chapter from a book. That will help.
Barrientos started her journey in March 2023 and passed the GED exam nearly 6 months later.
I put a lot of information online to help those of you considering going back to school. You can click onto christv.com. At Del Mar College, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Stephanie Molina, Chris 6 News.
I'm Alexis Scott, your downtown neighborhood news reporter, speaking with people about when they tip, when they won't, and why it matters.
You'll see them at coffee shops, drive-through windows, and even self-serve kiosks. Some believe the new tipping culture is serving up a side of pressure. For Tristan Garcia, he says a tip is based on the quality of the service someone receives. But in today's tipping culture, Garcia has adjusted the prices at his downtown barber studio to include a standard tip. While the debate continues at the counter, the ones caught in the middle are the workers who depend on those few extra dollars to get by.
If you're wondering when and where you should tip, we'll have some tipping etiquette on christv.com. In downtown, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Alexis Scott, Chris 6 News.
Yeah, we were having a conversation about this story actually yesterday, and I found out that the minimum wage for a tipped position is somewhere around $2.30 or something like that. That's rough. So if you don't get those tips, man, you're not taking home a lot.
You know, when I worked at my parents' restaurant, I didn't make any money. I was surviving off of tips. Granted, I was 14.
One of those child employees that face the same fate. But you know what? I got paid in food. My job was to make sure there wasn't anything expired on the shelf. So, I had to be preemptive with that and take the snackies.
There you go.
I will say, what a treat we are having this morning. It's been a disruptive start for a lot of folks and inconvenient. I'm not just saying this as a weather nerd. I'm really happy we're getting good rainfall in the one pocket where we haven't seen it so far this week. So let's track the latest with the Celina storms that's been moving across the northern coastal bend this morning. This thing has been hauling the mail, sweeping across our neighborhood since our broadcast began right around 5 o'clock this morning. So what is the latest? Well, we still have plenty of color here on the radar, so still intense downpours at this point, but zooming in closer, the latest bit of rain actually shows that tail end not holding on as strong as we thought. I mean, there's still intense rainfall. We're seeing the oranges and reds, but this is going to sweep by the northern periphery of Sinton. And there's still a whole lot more to the north of that. Beeville and B County in general seeing things wind down. Beeville, you should be drying out just about now. This line, though, is headed towards from Sinton up through Refugio. So Woodsboro, you're getting kind of a snack on this one, part of that line protruding forward. So you're going to hear the thunder, maybe see some flashes of lightning. Please, with this morning commute in mind, give yourself some extra time if you do have to be out right now. If you don't, and you have the luxury of waiting it out, choose that instead, because this is some very heavy downpours. It's going to be crossing the 77 corridor between just about Odom, probably up into the Victoria Crossroads. A messy commute. We want to make sure you get there safe. I do think this line of storms is going to hold on to make it to Rockport. That'll be in the next less than an hour, really, if Port Aransas gets this, if the tail of this line holds on. Port A, you would see this in just over an hour. But yeah, Sinton coming in hot, 9 minutes for that arrival time. Taft, 30 minutes for you. And like I said, Rockport, I do think you'll see this in the Rockport-Fulton area in less than an hour. So keep that in mind for the morning time frame, no matter what you've got planned. So we haven't seen a whole lot else happening in Live Oak County. B County clearing out. Lake Corpus Christi got a little bit of rain. Chilcan, you got more. So we appreciate that. But for the rest of us, we're dry this morning, just looking humid, drizzly, dreary, windy. Here's a look at current conditions. We are warm. We're in the 70s this morning. Visibility not as bad as yesterday because our winds are up. In fact, that wind direction changing in Beeville now that the storms have moved out. I'm going to continue to track the radar even after this newscast. ChrisTV.com for the latest on air and online. But the 7-day forecast shows we're on the tail end of this rain event. Not going to see anything after this outside of maybe a stray thunder shower. Looking good for Buck Days on Saturday. We definitely need that SPF 30 or better. And then disrespectful winds back at it for next week.
I'm looking so forward to this Saturday. Buck Days is going to be a blast. Thank you so much, Steph. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you later.
Bye.